why we might completely miss an alien signal, even if they sent one straight to Earth. It's not about bad equipment or the vast distance. The real terror? We might not even recognize it. If you think math is a universal language and a few shapes will guarantee they'll understand us, then you're overestimating math and underestimating the gap between civilizations. What if their senses, logic, and even the way they interpret reality are fundamentally different? Then the patterns we see, were they to them really? The direction they perceive? What would that even mean to us? What is left? What is an individual? What even counts as an intelligent being? This isn't just a sci-fi plot from Arrival. These are real questions scientists have seriously debated. Today, let's talk about something scarier than the existence of aliens. How do we actually speak to them? Looking back, those hopeful messages we sent into space might just be humanity talking to itself. Even worse, forget aliens. We can't even leave a simple keep out sign for humans 10,000 years in the future. So when we face an alien signal, the issue isn't whether to reply or if they're friendly or hostile. It's about how you communicate with a species whose language, senses, and perception of reality are completely alien to ours. In 1972, NASA was prepping the Pioneer 10 spacecraft for launch. Carl Sagan had an idea. Since it'll drift for millions of years, why not attach a cosmic message in a bottle, just in case someone, someday, picks it up? So they designed a 15 by 23 centimeter gold-plated plaque. They engraved things they thought any advanced civilization would understand. Hydrogen atoms, a pulsar map, an arrow pointing to our solar system, and human outlines. But here's the catch. Are these symbols actually universal? Take the arrow. It's a human abstraction based on the invention of bows and arrows from our hunting era. If an alien race never hunted or used bows, that triangle and line pattern is totally meaningless to them. A wave for hello? Even on Earth, that gesture isn't universally friendly. What if they don't even have arms? To them, raising a limb might look like a threat, not a greeting. In 1974, we beamed a binary signal to a star cluster 25,000 light years away using the Arecibo telescope. Scientists believed anyone with math skills could decode it into images of DNA, our solar system, and humans. The result? During a blind test on Earth, even top scientists couldn't crack the code. It's less like communication and more like humanity projecting its own logic onto the void. In 1977, Voyager carried the famous golden record. But to play it, you need a record player. Modern kids barely know what a record player is. How can we expect an alien 40,000 years from now to figure it out? Every time we try to reach out, we just run headfirst into the wall of our own human cognition. Now, let's flip the script. An ant tries to greet you using chemical signals. A bat says, hello, through ultrasonic waves. An octopus changes colors to chat with you. How would you even know they're trying to communicate? Suppose tomorrow we receive a clearly artificial alien radio signal. How will we respond? At this point, a famous logic trap emerges in astronomy, the Ozma problem. The problem is simple. Imagine you're communicating via radio with an alien light years away. You can't see each other, and you share no spatial reference. How do you explain left and right? Using only words. Take a moment to think about that. You can't point because they can't see you. You can't say it's the side where the heart is because they might not have hearts, or their hearts are on the right. You can't use clockwise or counterclockwise because that depends on which side of the clock you're looking at. Without a shared frame of reference, defining direction in a universe is impossible. This puzzle baffled scientists for ages, until physicists proposed a hardcore ultimate solution. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called parity violation in weak interaction. Certain decays favor a specific orientation when emitting electrons. This is considered a fundamental law of our universe. So you tell the alien, watch this atomic decay. The direction the electrons move. That's what we call left dot. Problem solved, right? Not quite. There's a terrifying trap hidden here. This rule only applies in a universe dominated by matter. If the alien you're talking to lives in a galaxy made of antimatter, their experimental results would be the exact opposite. In other words, their left would be our right. Then comes the day you finally meet in person. You extend your right hand in peace, and they extend what they believe is their right hand. The moment you touch, matter meets antimatter. Instant annihilation. A simple mismatch in understanding leads to total destruction. Now, a deeper question. To what extent does language shape the reality we see? Even on Earth, language reshapes our perception, let alone the cognitive gap we'd face with aliens. Some Aboriginal languages lack left and right. They only use cardinal directions. They don't say the cup is on your right. They say the cup is to your northwest. As a result, they possess an extraordinary, near-perfect sense of direction. Language literally rewired how their brains process space. But what about aliens? What if their language has no concept of time or sequence? What if past, present, and future exist for them all at once? That would completely shatter causality. We use cause and effect to explain everything, while they might see the universe as a complete, timeless geometry. Like a fish in water, it understands pressure and temperature, but can never grasp the wind and gravity experienced by a bird. At this point, you might think math is the only bridge left. After all, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, and pi should be the same everywhere, from Earth to Andromeda. That's what many scientists firmly believe. Using pulses for numbers, starting with basic math, moving to physics, and building a universal dictionary. But this is built on a deeply arrogant human assumption that math is the fundamental foundation of reality. What if math is just a pair of glasses our brains invented to make sense of a chaotic universe? What if an alien mind doesn't need numbers or logic at all? What if their way of knowing the cosmos is biologically incompatible with our brain structure? At this point, we hit the most disturbing twist of all. If talking to aliens feels too distant and abstract, then our internal crisis right here on Earth is even more chilling, because we can't even communicate with future humans. 2,000 feet beneath the New Mexico desert lies a cache of lethal materials. These materials will remain hazardous for a staggering 300,000 years. What does 300,000 years mean? Human writing has only existed for 10,000. The pyramids are just a few thousand years old, yet we already lost the meaning of Egyptian hieroglyphs. If we hadn't stumbled upon the Rosetta Stone, we'd still be in the dark. So, once this site is sealed, what kind of warning should we leave behind? How do we tell future civilizations, whatever you do, do not dig here? Text? In 10,000 years, it'll be an unbreakable dead code. What about symbols like a skull or the radiation sign? Ask yourself, do we really know what the Sanxingui artifacts mean? Symbols fail too. In 10,000 years, a skull might be seen as a sacred religious totem that might actually encourage people to dig it up. Centuries ago, Japan erected tsunami stones. But 1,000 years later, the warnings were ignored. Villages were built anyway. Then the 2011 tsunami struck and swallowed everything. Once the context is gone, the warning loses its power. To solve this, the US government assembled physicists, anthropologists, and even sci-fi writers. Solution 1. Build a massive field of jagged, chaotic black concrete spikes. Use pure, aggressive geometry to trigger a primal sense of danger. Solution 2. The atomic priesthood. If science and text die, what survives? Religion and mythology. Create a cult that treats do not dig as the ultimate religious taboo. Solution 3. The craziest of all, the ray cat. Genetically engineer cats that glow when exposed to intense radiation. Embed the idea, glow means death, into folk songs and fairy tales for generations. Even if civilization collapses, as long as cats survive, the warning lives on. In fact, the ray cat cultural movement has already begun. Whether it's the golden record for aliens or glowing cats for our grandkids, We end up abandoning cold data for the power of emotional myths and stories. We can't guarantee aliens will understand us or that the future will heed our warnings. But these signals are actually proof for ourselves that in this vast, dark void, a tiny yet incredibly stubborn species of carbon-based life actually existed. Facing cosmic loneliness, we chose one thing: not to remain silent. If you heard a broadcast from the cosmos tomorrow, would you reply? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next universe.